Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio and tonight's YouTube live event. My name is Lisa Curcio. I'd like to welcome you if this is your very first time to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. And for those of you returning, thanks for being here to be with me. I'm telling you what, I am excited and I'm in the middle of chaos because we are in the process of moving. So things are a little crazy behind me, not inside your camera view, but in our household in general. It's a very busy and an exciting time, and this is my sanity time to be with you and to do some stamping. I've got a beautiful partial die cut card for you today that coordinates with the stamp image. This is something different you might not have seen, and it might look tricky, but I've narrowed it down to make it super easy for you tonight. And as always, I've got lots of tips to share with you along the way. Now, make sure you hang with me till tonight's event is over because at the end, I have 6 other cards to share with you using the exact same bundle of products. And when I say bundle, I mean stamp set and coordinating dies. Now, before we get started, I want to go over a couple things with you. The first is I will be back when the live is over. You'll need to give me about 10 minutes. And right below the video, in the video description, you'll be able to find a link which will lead you over to the pictures and the cutting dimensions for tonight's project. In addition to that, if you would like to chat during tonight's live or read the chat if you're here for the replay or leave a comment, you're going to need to sign in to your YouTube account, which is your Gmail address. That is a requirement of YouTube. It's not a Lisa thing. And then finally, I would love to introduce you to Megan. You'll see Megan's name here in blue, and she is my virtual assistant. So basically, what she's here to do is interact with you and answer your questions. Because, to be quite honest with you, there's no way for me to be able to keep up with all your questions and your comments and stamp at the same time. It's difficult, I'll be honest. I do come back and I read every single comment that you leave, and of course, they are replied to. So what do you say? Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and turn the camera down and get you zoomed in. Just give me a second. So here we go. So good to see people from all over. Now, bear with me. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit, kind of get you a little bit better view here. We got all the tools tonight. We're going to do all kinds of fun things, all kinds of fun things. So this card has steps, but it is not difficult. So just hang with me. And I'm going to recommend that when you start this at home, that you do it with the video. Stop and start with me. And like I said, it's not difficult. You're going to see me use this quite a bit tonight. This is my silicone craft sheet, my favorite accessory in my stamp studio, in addition to my take your pick tool. And the reason I love it is that adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. And it's called the Silicone Craft Sheet. All the products that you see me using tonight are going to be available in my online store. And like I said, make sure you hang with me to the end. I've got 6 other cards to share with you, as well as some really exciting news for a stamping event, as well as some personal information that I want to share with you tonight. All right, so I've got 2 pieces of cardstock, and I'm not even going to bother going all over the cutting dimensions with you because I have all that down in a link below the video when the live is over. So give me a few minutes. Pear Pizzazz Garden Green. I chose these because they are reminiscent of the designer series paper that I'm going to be adding to this card. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to add these panels together. This is the new Stamp and Seal Plus. It's my favorite of the 2 Stamp and Seals. I'm getting the hang of it. So if you've been here with me live before, you know that I had a learning curve with this. And I'm learning that you shouldn't press too hard. And it's better to pull than to try to push. And it's better to actually turn your paper than trying to turn your hand. Because let's face it, nobody likes contortionist adhesive, right? So doing like this is never fun. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adhere this to the center of this layer. It is measuring the same at the top and the bottom, but there is a slight margin on either side. Now, I did that for a purpose, and you'll see once we get going. But that's going to leave us this. Very important that you are generous with the adhesive because of the partial die cut. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get this ready for the next step, which is going to be the card base. This is Pear Pizzazz. It measures 4 1/4 by 11. I scored it in half right before you joined me. Pretty simple stuff. And then I'm going to use my bone folder. I love that nice crisp edge here. What we're going to do now is we need to get an idea of the positioning for the die cutting on our panel. So you're going to hold this panel that you've adhered together over the card base. You're not going to stick anything together. You're just holding it there. And on the left-hand side, you want anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch visible. You don't have to go crazy measuring it, But I do recommend that once you got them there, you're going to line them up because you need them to be straight. And that's going to be really important. Now I'm just going to look and make sure that I've got them straight because I'm talking at the same time. And that looks pretty decent. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark here with my pencil so that I know exactly where to lay my image and my die. Very, very important. Don't miss this point. So I'm going to make a mark here, and I know it's going to be a little darker than what I normally would because I'm trying to hope that you're going to see it. I'm hoping you can see that. Now, this can be erased when we're done, and this is not a plug for Bic. They do not pay me. But I have to tell you, I have tried oodles and oodles of pencils in my craft studio, and I love this Bic pencil number 2. 2 reasons. The lead is very soft, and the eraser rocks. I mean, it literally takes everything off. Now, I know there's all kinds of pencils and erasers out there, and I know you're probably all going to chime in. This is just my personal favorite. And believe it or not, I get asked about this. They say, we always see you use the same pencil because that's why. All right, so this positioning is going to be very, very important. Now, all the cards I'm going to share with you tonight, including the one I'm going to demonstrate for you, all come from the same bundle of products, and that is called Forever Fern. This beautiful stamp set, I'm going to tell you right now, looking at the package does not even do it justice. Wait until you see the other cards I'm going to share. These leaves are more of a photographic type image than a stamped image. They have more of a 3D realistic look. There are coordinating dies, and the reason I love them, not only because do they cut out the leaves, but you've got some other elements in here that are not part of the stamp set, so it really expounds on its use. There are also some greetings, and you're going to see me use those on the other cards I'm going to share with you tonight. The technique that I'm teaching you is using exclusively tonight the coordination between the stamp set and the coordinating die. Keep in mind that partial die cutting does not have to use both. This specific card does. All right, so that line is there for a reason. I'm going to come in with my Versamark ink, and I do get asked this quite a bit. Will glitter stick to this? No, this is not a glue. This is an ink. It's a watermark ink, which means if you stamp it on colored cardstock and you allow it a few seconds to dry, it's going to leave a tone-on-tone finish, which is fantastic. But it originally was used for heat embossing. So we are using all the tools tonight. Now, I'm not going to emboss the whole thing because I know the sound level with the microphone is never fun, but I'm going to start the process because I want to be able to teach those of you that are new. So let me bring in my tray, which I have right here. And I've got my little tray here to kind of catch the powder, especially when we're live. And I've got the ceiling fan on, so that never helps. This is white embossing powder. I like to ready this so that it's all set and ready to go. So let me set that off to the side here. And again, we've got our line. And I'm going to ink up this image in the Versamark ink. Now, the one thing about Versamark is it's very, very sticky. So you're going to want to make sure that when you're done using it, that you clean your stamp immediately because you don't want that residue on your stamp. It is kind of an invisible ink. So I'm looking to stamp this right about here. How high or how low you go is entirely up to you. Now I'm going to cap this right away because I don't want embossing powder in there. I'm taking that off on my Stampin' Scrub, which is my cleaning tool, right off screen. And there you go. You can see the watermark. And I'm going to sprinkle this very generously with powder. Now, I know you're probably thinking, eek, that's a lot. It's okay. This is what the coffee filter is for. It's going to catch the excess so that I can pinch the coffee filter and then pour it right back in the bottle when tonight's live is all over. So nothing gets wasted. I'm going to set that way over there off to the side. Now we're going to heat set this. So you can see here where my line is. So here's my heat tool. It does have 2 settings. There is a 1 and a 2. The 1 I like primarily if I'm trying to dry or speed up the drying process on paper. And I don't know about you, but when I'm crafting, I'm very impatient when it comes to waiting for watercolor paper to dry. So sometimes I turn this on and I use it to help speed up that process. Speed 2 is to set this powder. Now, once the gun gets hot, it will retain its heat. You're going to see there's a nozzle here. Never put your fingers here. It gets really, 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 really hot. Once it gets warm, the heat is retained so that you can do multiple images at one time. You're going to hold it very close to the paper. I like to keep it moving. That's just a Lisa thing. And the reason is because if you get really zealous, which I've done, you can actually scorch the paper by overheating it. What's going to happen? Do you see it start to turn? That powdery finish is going to turn like an enamel finish. And I know this is really, really loud, and I'm trying to talk even faster. You're not going to want to skip all around. Take one place at a time and then gradually move. What's going to happen is the powder itself and I'm going to turn that off so you can hear me. The powder itself will actually conduct some heat and help spread that drying process. Now, when it's all finished, I've got one over here, bear with me, because I know how loud that is this. So here we've got our image. You can see the pencil line runs right through here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to come in and we are going to erase that pencil line. So I've got my pencil here and I'm just going to go in between. You don't really have to worry about going over the embossed lines. It really doesn't show. So let me just erase that. Take all that little eraser stuff out of the way. All right, next step. Remember this panel? You're going to want to come right up to, look at, I erased the pencil line because I was so excited, right? Look, and I did such a good job, I can barely see it. But that's all right, because I know exactly where it was. I know I wanted my stem on this side of the panel, and that is for a reason, because I've made this card so many times that I knew that I didn't want this die cut. I wanted this on this side of the panel. All right, once you've got it aligned to your pencil mark, which I can tell was here, you're going to anchor the die in place. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so here's the coordinating die to this image. I am going to line these up together like so. I am making sure that my stem is aligned with my embossed image. And then what we're going to do is we are going to tack this in place on this side. So let me grab my tape. This is my low tack tape. You can use Post-it notes, you can use adhesive strips, anything that works at your house that's temporary. Again, I'm going to line this up and then I'm going to tack this down primarily on this side, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that the die is in the right position. And then this is going to get embossed. Not this, just this. Remember, this is a partial die cut. Now I've got my cutting mats here and I want to chat with you about those because I think that that's a really, really important step. Here they are. So here are my clear mats. Now, if yours look anything like mine, they're probably a little bit bowed from use. Very important that you are constantly turning and inverting these so they get even coverage. That's going to help break down that bowing that you get on this plastic that goes through the die cutting machine. You are going to place this between your clear cutting mats. You're going to place this on top of the platform for your die cutting machine. And listen, you're going to die cut it 2 times. You're going to pass it through once and you're going to pass it through again. And the reason is because you're going through 2 layers of cardstock here. We've got the Pear Pizzazz and the Garden Green. I learned the hard way thinking, oh, my rollers are good. My machine's really good. It is. But I found with 2 layers of cardstock, especially with a partial cut, that you're going to want to make sure that you pass it through twice. There's nothing worse if you've ever done die cutting and you realize you take it all out and it didn't go all the way through, right? Because it's impossible to align. So that's what I've done. I did that ahead of time just to save a little bit of time. And then I'm going to show you what I did next. I brought in the coordinating embossing folder to this stamp set, and it actually comes as a duo. And it's called the Granary Embossing Folders. And you're going to notice that they're a smaller size because they're going to fit the brand new mini die cutting machine that's going to accommodate our full size die cutting machine, which comes out September 1st for you. So I chose this one and I die cut it over this die cut panel. So let's just pretend that that's cut because literally, friends, there's only so much space here and I can only get so many tools in. So bear with me. But I die cut this and I want to tell you why for 2 reasons. First of all, once this is die cut, I am going to recommend that you take your time removing whatever you used to hold it down to the paper. The reason being is, remember, this has been compressed through your die cutting machine. So you're going to have a slight line here, maybe from whatever you've used. Maybe it's been a Post-it note or a tape or a washi tape. So take your time. I found that the embossing folder added a lot of texture to this panel. So let me show you what it looks like. It is beautiful. Do you see that? So we've got all the embossing here, and then it kind of camouflages any extra areas that you've had to do some tacking. So here is the card that I did. Here's that pencil line. Remember, that's how we knew to align our die. And now we're ready to put this panel together. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here on this one is I'm going to erase that pencil mark, which is what I did a little bit early because I was just a little bit too excited. Let's erase that so that won't be visible. I like to do that before I go ahead and adhere things. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to add up a little bit of color to this because it's very monotone right now. And I'm grabbing a piece of Designer Series paper from this exact same suite of products. This paper is gorgeous. Just a small strip here. You can see it's very, very busy. On the other cards I'm going to share with you, wait until you've seen what I've done with this. Double-sided, so you have lots of options. I'm going to be using this one. So I'm going to flip this upside down, and I'm using that silicone craft sheet once again. This tape is very, very strong. I love this for 3D projects as well as these small strips of paper. I love this adhesive because it comes out in little small tabs, so I'm able to kind of get it in smaller areas better than I can with other adhesives. I'm going to turn this horizontally so I have a better chance of getting this on straight. And I'm going to align this here. So at the very bottom and up here at the top, I'm trying not to get my head in your camera view, and I'm going to tack that in place. Okay, so that's going to give us a really pretty decorative edge. Now let's talk about this panel. Now there's a couple things that you can do. You obviously can use dimensionals, which is what I'm going to do tonight, or you can use the foam adhesive strips. Now these are already pre-cut and they come in a nice long strip. And what you can do then is you can go all the way around here. It's very, very important that whatever you use, and tonight I'm going to use these, that you balance this very well. You want to make sure that your project is going to hold up in the mail, because I don't know about you, but literally 99% of what I make gets mailed to somebody. And the postage machine at the post office has rollers in it, and it will do a real number on your cards if you don't have these balanced. And remember, there's a partial die cut here, so it's going to sag there if you don't give this some support. So I'm going to come around here. Love, love this shape so that this hexagon can get right on the edges. And I'm going to take one more for good measure, and I'm going to stick it right there. No sagging, because when you see me take these off and adhere them to here, you're going to see the importance. This is my Take Your Pick tool. The putty tip is wonderful for sequins and small pieces of paper. This interchangeable tip right now has the paper piercing tool attachment. And I love this to help me take off those paper backings. Boy, and I've got a lot of them on here. You want to make sure that you get those all wrangled, and this is a great way to do that with this tool. I've had some of you say to me, well, how do you do that? It takes practice. You know, it does take a little bit of practice to get the hang of the little flick here, but once you got it, you are good to go, and that's going to save you a whole lot of mess on your table and some time. I have arthritis issues in my hands. If you've ever watched me live before, you know I talk about that. So that peeling is really, really difficult for me. So this has kind of saved my life. That's called the Take Your Pick tool. It is the best $10 you will ever spend. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to align these. And you can do it any which way that works for you. But I'm going to go ahead and just, let's go this way. I'm trying to stay within your camera view. I want to make sure that I am looking to align the die the best that I can to that die cut partial panel that is here. I'm also looking to align the top and the bottom of the card, and then we're going to press that in place. But this is why it's important that you balance those dimensionals or those adhesive strips that you're going to use. You don't want this area in here to be sagging on the card. So if you use them generously, you're going to get this beautiful 3D look that's going to hold up through the mail. All right, let's finish going ahead with the greeting on this. I didn't dare do this before you joined me because at my age, my head has to be pretty darn close. But I took a strip of Whisper White cardstock and I used the greeting from the stamp set. You can do this. And we're going to create a banner tip on this side. Now I want to give you a great tip about making banner tips. I'm also going to talk you through how you would do it with your scissors, but I'm going to give you a great cheat. So I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm just going to simulate this. What you would do is you would make a snip in the very center of the paper. That is the most important thing you should do first, because that's going to ensure that these two tips are going to be even. Once the snip has been made, you're going to cut from the outside edge to the top of that slit on both sides. Slick, you'll have a perfect banner tip. But if you happen to have the tailored tag punch, which I absolutely love, as a matter of fact, all my punches hang in front of the wall here in my studio. I keep this one front and center because I use it all the time. Look how big my banner tips can be, how wide. And this is why I love this. Because of my arthritis in my hands, I find this is a lot easier for me to use. So I'm going to take that tip, I'm going to slide it in here, and I'm just going to show you. Do you see the point here in the center? That's going to indicate the center of my banner tip. So I'm going to do my best to align this, and then once I'm happy with it, we're just going to punch that out. And look at that. Perfect banner tip every single time. And the reason I really, really love it is I can make banners that are much bigger than this size here. Obviously, the wider the paper that you have, the more cutting you're going to have to do with your scissors. So this works out really well for me. Now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add dimensionals. And the positioning for this is also very important because remember, this is now vertical and this is going to go horizontal. So I've got one here at the end, one in the middle, and you're not going all the way to the end here. So you're going to leave maybe about a half an inch or so. We're going to remove those backings one more time. And while you're here, I just want to make sure that you know, if you head over to lisastampstudio.com, and in the menu, you'll find the shop button for all these supplies. But better yet, you're going to find out all about my ordering rewards. They are exclusive and very generous. I'm going to align this to the outside edge of the garden green cardstock here just for visual interest. And let me give you another tip. None of us are perfect when we craft. If you got an ugly spot, you manipulate this up and down to cover those spots and work to your advantage. And then there we go. You're not going to want a dimensional here because remember we talked about that elevation. Now, if you've watched my videos before, even with me live, you know I love bling. And these beautiful gold glitz enamel dots are among my favorites. I'm going to pull out the sheet that I already have open. So we're going to add a little pizzazz to this. Now, obviously, you can skip this or you can use something else, but I decided it needed a little oomph. So I'm going to take one of these larger ones. They've got glue dots already on the back, which makes my life super duper easy. I'm going to take a little bit larger one. That's going to go up here. And then one of these itty bitty ones, they work so good for these trios. And I'm going to come up again with that paper piercing tool. And I'm going to put that one down here. Just gives us a little bit of pizzazz on the card. I even asked my husband, who we call fondly Bob the Builder, is that too feminine? He was like, no, that's totally fine. I'm like, good masculine card too. All right, I'm super excited. Let me share these other cards with you. So let me just make a little room here because I've successfully made a huge mess. And let me bring those in. Anybody else make a huge mess when you paper craft? Okay. Now the cards I have here, there are 6 of them. All of these cards are part of this month's online card making class, which includes the tutorial for all of the projects. That's a PDF tutorial, step-by-step, cutting dimensions, pictures, and supplies, plus a full-length video. Check this out. This uses those beautiful gold hoops. Isn't this beautiful? You may think this looks like a ton of work, but it is not. This suite of products in the Forever Greenery is stunning. It includes these gold foil die cuts, which means no stamping. We've got 1, 2, 3, we've got a couple stamps we've die cut, and the beauty is they're all different, so you can die cut them at once. My video is going to walk you through step by step by step, and I'm going to give you a ton of tips. So this is the first card that's part of that tutorial. Here is the second one. I know, isn't this beautiful? I love the bling. You can see that I use some accessories on here too. Now, if you decide that you want your cards to look exactly like the 6 I'm going to show you here, I have a full list of the supplies at lisastampstudio.com under the tab in the menu that says classes, and then click on card making class. Look at the panels. Isn't this pretty? So there are a few other supplies that I added here, obviously, besides the stamp set and the dies, and you can pick and choose. Now, let me tell you how you can get your tutorials and your videos. Look at that. Isn't this beautiful? And it looks complicated, but I promise you it's not. And check this out. This little double loop bow here, I'm going to show you how to make it by hand right at home. Nice and easy. So that's 4. Let me make a little bit more room here. We've got 2 more to go. And then this one. Now I want you to look closely. Do you see the texture on here? I have a technique for you that you are going to fall in love with. And you want to talk about simple, you can't even mess it up. I love this technique. And that's all part of my video as well. So that's 5. And then our last one is here. This is a partial faux front. So we have individual strips here that make up this open panel. Isn't this just stunning? And you can see I use the embossing folder as well. Now let me turn the camera around. Let me explain to you how you can get your tutorial and your videos for free. Okay, so I provide these for free to you in exchange for any $50 product order using my exclusive card making class host code. That's very, very important. If you do not use the card making class host code, I have no way of knowing you're entitled to the tutorial and of course the video. So that's very important. So it's any $50 in product. So if you already have the Forever Fern and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have those tutorials and the video, fantastic. You can order whatever you want. So I make it super easy. Now there's only one exception to the host code. If your order is going to be large, meaning it's $150 in product before the shipping and tax, do not use the host code because Stampin' Up! Is also going to provide you with Stampin' Rewards, which is free product. If you use the host code, it negates those. But it's super important that if your order's that big and you want this card making class, meaning the tutorials and the video, that you email me and contact me to let me know. Otherwise, I have no way of knowing. You can contact me very easily over at lisasstampstudio.com. You'll find the contact me button right there at the top of the menu and just let me know. Now, these are ready to go. So if you place your order, you are going to get these immediately. So there is no waiting period. So by the time you order your supplies, you can get everything, rip out your tutorials, get cardstock cut, and you can stamp with me in the comfort of your home. The beauty is you can stop and start as often as you'd like, working at your own pace. You can stamp right along with me. I make all 6 cards right along with you, and I promise that it's super easy, whether you are a beginner or you are advanced. I walk you through the process just like you've seen here with the card I've made previously. So that's how you can get involved with this month's card making class. The ordering period is only for 4 days. It is today, which is July 8th, through Saturday, July 11th, and then we are done. I offer a different class every single month. It is typically the second Wednesday through the second Saturday, give or take a holiday or an occasion, but that is typically how it's done. So there's a new tutorials and new videos every single month around this card making class. So I hope that you're going to join me. It's going to be lots of fun. These are strikingly beautiful cards, and I promise you they are not difficult. All the supplies are listed over there under the classes tab, card making classes. Now, I promised you that I had some other things to share with you. One of which is a stamping opportunity, and the other is personal, and I'm super excited to share that with you as well. Okay, so number one, this Friday night and Saturday is the Creative 8 Team Online Summer Stamping Retreat. Now, some of you, I saw your names, you've already signed up and registered, and I'm thrilled. But today is the last day to do it because it starts Friday evening and it will be all day Saturday. I am part of the Creative 8 team, which are 5 top Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. We have come together to do this online inspiration type retreat. You don't need supplies, and it doesn't even matter what supplies that you have because all of our projects have been specifically designed for you to have use of what you have at home. You don't have to have what we have. Everything has been designed generically. We've got ideas from layouts to one sheet wonders to gift card holders, 3D projects, fun folds, the list goes on. It's $45 for the Friday night and all day Saturday. And guess what? You do not have to be live the entire time to watch. You can get the email, which will come about a week later, with all the links to the videos and all the tutorials that accompany all the projects we're going to share. It's a project every hour and a 10-hour period. Plus, we got a surprise. In addition to that, we have alternate project ideas, plus what we demonstrate. So you're going to walk away with more ideas than you know what to do. So if you're looking to get that inspiration tank filled, the Creative 8 online retreat is a fantastic way. So how can you get registered? Go to lisasstampstudio.com, click on events, and go to July 11th on the calendar. And there you'll find a link. Read through the information that I've kind of highlighted here and then get registered. Today, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time is the last day to register to get you all approved and into that group for the big weekend. So I hope that you'll join me. Now, on another note, typically towards the end of my live, I always encourage you to subscribe because I'm going to be back with you live. And of course, I have lots more videos to share with you. I have been a designing and filming freak because if you remember in the beginning, I told you I'm getting ready to move. What you don't see outside the perimeter of this lens is a house that's nearly empty. We don't have a couch, we don't have tables, we don't have chairs, and literally 90% of what we own is packed. We are getting ready to move to our new home. Now, I use the word new because it's new to us. It is not in any way, shape, or form new, but it's going to look new while we're done. I want to give a huge shout out to Matlock Homes, to Byron and Jody Matlock in Trinity, Florida. They are doing the renovations on our new home because guess what? The next time I come back with you live is going to be my brand new stamp studio. Some of this will look familiar and some of it won't, but I am super excited to come live to you on, are you ready? I've got the date written down. It's going to seem like a long time, but hang on. It's August 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, in the meantime, let me tell you what I've got prepared for you. On August 3rd, I know my stamp studio will not be quite ready for a live event, but I've got a special YouTube premiere coming for you on a 3D project, not a 3D, it's like a 3D fun fold. We're going to call it that you will not want to miss. In addition to that, between now and then, I have videos already designed and filmed to keep you inspired and keep you visiting me while I am transitioning and unpacking. If you've ever moved, you know how much work it is, but we are super, super excited. So please do me a favor, subscribe so that you don't miss. Click that little bell icon so you get notifications and reminders. And I really hope that while you're visiting lisastampstudio.com, that you will sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter where I share a tutorial that is not shared on any of my other platforms. It's just for you. That is it for tonight. Megan, thank you so much for all your hard work. Oh, who wants a sneak peek before we go of that brand new mini catalog that debuts on August 1st? Are you wondering how you're going to get your copy? Head over to lisastampstudio.com, click on catalogs. You can find ways to get it for free and a way to request your copy there as well. And of course, I'm going to include the annual catalog in with that shipment. I hope you all stay well, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great evening.